Hey everyone, and welcome back to Love Hackers. I'm Alex Carter,
And I'm Sophie Tanaka.
and we are your dating guides, ready to help you win at the game of love. Today we are doing a deep dive into something that I know can be so frustrating. When someone is giving you mixed signals in dating.
Oh, yeah.
One day they're all over you, and then the next it's like they barely know you.
Right.
Why do people play this confusing hot and cold game?
It's a great question, and it's definitely something we're going to unpack today. We've got some really interesting insights based on research on this topic, especially on why a woman might be sending these mixed messages.
Okay.
But before we get into the reasons for this behavior, we should say that it's not always a bad thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sometimes it can be a way of gauging interest, seeing how invested you are.
So you're saying there's a difference between someone who's like truly not interested
Right.
and someone who is,
Yeah.
but maybe they're just playing it cool or something.
Exactly. It's kind of like a playful dance.
Okay.
They're trying to figure out if you are as into them as they are into you.
Yeah, that makes sense. But how can we tell the difference?
Right.
Because honestly, it can be so hard to decode those mixed signals.
Absolutely. It can definitely be confusing. That's why we're going to break down some of the most common reasons for why this might be happening. We found 7 reasons,
Okay.
and understanding them can really help you navigate this whole tricky thing.
Okay. 7 reasons.
Okay.
All right. I'm ready. Let's hear them.
Okay, let's start with one that's pretty common. They don't want to seem too eager. Nobody wants to feel like they're always chasing.
Right.
So sometimes when someone feels like they're putting in more effort than the other person, they might pull back a little bit.
So it's like a self-preservation tactic.
Yeah, exactly.
They're trying to protect their ego a bit.
Okay, I get that.
It's just a natural human instinct to want to keep things balanced.
Right.
And that's true for anything you do, dating included.
Makes sense.
Now, this leads us to another reason that's pretty similar to that. You might be coming on too strong.
Yeah, I think we've all been there at some point.
Oh, yeah, it happens to everyone.
Yeah, but you got to think about it from the other person's perspective.
Okay.
Let's say you're just getting to know someone and they're already talking about the future, like overwhelming you with attention.
Yeah.
It can feel a little suffocating,
Yeah, no, I get that for sure.
and that might make them pull back a little.
So is the key to take things slow and let the connection naturally unfold?
Yeah, rushing things can really backfire, especially in the early stages of dating.
Okay.
It's all about finding that balance between showing interest but giving the other person space.
Totally makes sense.
Okay.
So what's the next reason?
Well, this one might be a bit of a tough pill to swallow,
Okay.
but sometimes someone is hot and cold because they just want attention.
Uh-oh.
It's not even about genuine interest.
Yeah.
It's more about keeping you hooked, keeping you on the line.
Oh, the classic attention seeker.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
these people thrive on making you feel validated.
Right.
And they like having someone on edge, waiting for their next move.
Yeah.
They give you just enough attention to intrigue you and then pull back to see what you'll do. It's a game. It's all a game.
Oh, man.
And it can leave you feeling pretty frustrated.
Yeah, definitely a tricky one. So is there anything we can look for to figure this out early on?
Yeah, there are definitely some red flags. We'll get into those a bit later. But
Yeah.
for now, let's keep going with the reasons.
Okay.
So another reason they might be acting this way is you're the backup option.
Nobody wants to be the backup plan.
It's not a good feeling.
No.
And it basically means that you're not their top priority.
Yeah.
They might be talking to other people or have someone else they're more interested in, and they're keeping you around just in case things don't work out with that person.
Oh, man. So how can you tell if you're in that situation? What are the signs?
It can be subtle, but we'll dive into those signs in a bit.
Okay.
Let's move on to reason number 5.
Right.
This one gets a little deeper into emotions. It's fear of getting hurt.
Okay. Yeah, that's where things can get complicated,
Right.
for sure.
You see, sometimes people who have been hurt in the past, maybe they've had a bad breakup or been betrayed, they put up walls to protect themselves.
Yeah.
They don't want to get hurt again. It's like a defense mechanism.
Right.
And they may not even realize they're doing it.
So even if they actually like you, their past experiences can make them push you away.
It definitely happens.
Wow.
Their instinct is to create distance, even if it goes against their true feelings.
Yeah.
It's a way of controlling the situation and avoiding potential pain.
Yeah. It's got to be tough to be in that situation.
Yeah, for both people.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. What's next on the list?
This one is pretty interesting. Sometimes this hot and cold thing can be a way of testing your confidence.
Testing confidence.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, some people are just naturally wired to test their partners. See how they react under pressure.
Oh, interesting.
They want to see how emotionally stable you are. And if you get rattled or insecure easily when they pull away,
So they're like observing how we deal with their mixed signals.
yeah, it's like a test.
A test?
Okay. To see if you're confident and if you believe in the connection you're building.
Yeah.
It might sound a little manipulative,
Yeah, a little bit.
but it usually comes from wanting to be with someone who's secure and sure of themselves.
Right. So how we react to their hot and cold behavior actually tells them something about us.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
If you keep your cool and don't let their actions mess with your emotions, it can actually make you more attractive.
Really?
Yeah, it shows them you're not playing games and that you're confident in who you are.
So confidence is key in this situation.
Yeah, you gotta stay grounded and not let them throw you off balance.
Okay, so that was 6 reasons. What's the final reason?
Sometimes the simplest explanation is the most accurate one.
Okay.
They're just not that into you.
Oh,
It's not always about games or deep-seated issues. Sometimes people are just incompatible or there's no real spark.
right. So the hot and cold thing might just be their way of slowly backing away.
Exactly. And they're hoping you'll pick up on the hints and move on without them having to say anything directly.
Oof. All right. So I've got 7 potential reasons. They don't want to seem too eager. We're coming on too strong. They want attention. We're a backup option. Fear of getting hurt. Testing our confidence, or they're just not that interested.
Right.
Sounds like it can be really tough to figure out which one it is in any given situation.
Right.
So what should our listeners do if they're going through this?
Yeah, it can be tricky, but don't worry, we're going to give you the tools to deal with it.
Okay.
First thing is don't let it get to you.
Right.
You're a confident, awesome person, and you deserve to be with someone who is consistently into you.
Okay.
You got to stay calm, avoid reacting emotionally, don't beg for their attention or try to play their games back. Just be yourself and see what happens.
That makes sense. But how do we be ourselves when someone is acting this way?
Yeah,
It's natural to feel thrown off a bit.
you're totally right. It's normal to feel that way.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, reacting without thinking or letting their behavior control your mood, that only gives them more power.
Okay.
Remember, you choose how you respond to things.
Right.
So let's talk about some practical tips for handling this gracefully and confidently.
Yes, please, because that's what I need help with.
Okay. So first things first, you want to avoid being pushy. If someone is pulling away, don't overwhelm them with messages or try to force a conversation.
Yeah, you don't want to push them away even more.
Right. And that brings us to the second tip. Don't jump to conclusions. There are so many reasons why someone might be acting distant, and it might not even be about you.
Okay.
Maybe they're really busy or stressed with work or going through something personal.
Right.
Don't automatically assume it's because of you or that they've lost interest.
So give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, exactly. And try not to overthink it.
It's much easier said than done.
I know. But sometimes the simplest explanation is the right one. And this leads us to our next tip. Give them time.
Oh.
If they're truly interested, they'll come back around. And if they don't, well, then that's their loss, not yours.
It's like that saying, if you love something, let it go.
Oh, yeah.
If it comes back, it's yours. If
Yeah.
not, it never was.
I love that. It perfectly captures the idea of letting things flow naturally. And then once you've given them some space and time, don't be afraid to re-engage.
Okay.
Reach out and see how they're doing. If they respond positively, great. You can start rebuilding that connection.
Okay.
But if they're still distant or unresponsive, it might be a sign that it's time to move on.
So it's about finding that balance, giving them space, but also showing that we're still interested.
Exactly.
Hmm.
You got to respect their space, but also your own time and energy. What if after all that they're still hot and cold?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that's when it gets really frustrating.
Yeah.
Because you're putting in the effort, but not getting anything consistent back.
You're right. It can be super frustrating. In those situations, you got to advocate for yourself.
Okay.
So here's what I suggest. Address it directly. Tell them calmly and respectfully that you've noticed their inconsistent behavior and that it's making you uncomfortable.
So we're not accusing them or anything.
Right.
We're also not just pretending everything is fine.
Exactly. You're just having an honest conversation, explaining how their actions are affecting you and setting a boundary.
Okay, so setting boundaries is important.
Yes. You deserve to be treated with respect and consistency. And if they can't give you that, then maybe it's time to rethink things.
Right. You got to know your worth and not settle for less.
Exactly. But I know it can be hard to walk away from someone you have feelings for.
For sure.
But you got to remember, you teach people how to treat you. If you always accept inconsistent behavior, then you're telling them that it's okay. And that can lead to you feeling undervalued and unappreciated.
Right. So setting boundaries early on is key.
Yes, show them that you respect yourself enough to walk away if things aren't right.
Okay. I like that.
Mm.
Now, before we move on, I want to share this analogy that really captures this idea
Okay.
of knowing your worth and standing firm in your values. It's this idea of being like an oak tree.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah, strong and resilient.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
an oak tree standing tall, even in a storm. And in the context of dating, especially when someone's playing hot and cold, being like an oak tree means not letting their moods control yours.
So we're not letting their actions affect how we feel about ourselves.
Yeah. You maintain your inner strength. You're worthy no matter what they do. It's about not playing their games or letting their mixed signals make you question your own value.
So we're strong and resilient, like an oak tree.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. We weather the storm, but it doesn't uproot us.
That's a great visual.
Yeah.
So how do we actually apply this oak tree mentality? Like, how do we do that when we're dating?
It all comes down to setting boundaries and sticking to them.
Right. So like drawing a line in the sand.
Yeah, exactly. And saying, this is what I will and won't tolerate. For instance, if someone keeps canceling plans, let them know that's not okay.
Okay.
You can be like, hey, I get that things come up, but I feel like our plans are always changing. I'm looking for someone who's reliable and makes me feel like a priority.
So we're calling them out on their behavior.
Right. But in a calm way. Not starting a fight, just communicating your needs and expectations.
Gotcha. And then what?
Another important step is to focus on your own life. Don't let their hot and cold behavior consume you.
Yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in that and overthink everything.
I know, but it's not healthy. Instead, put your energy into things you enjoy. Spend time with friends. Do your hobbies focus on your personal growth?
So basically fill your own cup first.
Yeah, exactly. Don't rely on someone else to make you feel good about yourself.
Okay.
The more fulfilled you are in your own life, the less power someone else's behavior has over you. You'll have that oak tree strength.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's when you attract the right people.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So we talked about the reasons behind this behavior, the signs and how to handle it.
Yeah,
But I think it's important to remember that everyone's different
absolutely.
and there's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Right. What works for one person might not work for another. You got to trust your gut and do what feels right for you.
So we're using our intuition
Yes.
and taking what we've learned today and
Yeah.
applying it to our own situation.
Exactly. And above all, remember, you are worthy of love and respect. Don't settle for anything less.
Okay, I like that. So to wrap this section up, let's go back to that oak tree analogy. How can our listener be more like an oak tree in their dating life?
Well, it's about building that inner strength and resilience. It's about knowing your worth and not letting someone's inconsistent behavior shake you to your core.
So we stand tall and strong no matter what comes our way.
Exactly. You don't bend or break. You handle the storm with grace and dignity. You stay true to yourself and you don't let someone else uproot you.
I love that. It's such a strong image. So if you're dealing with someone who's hot and cold, remember to be like an oak tree. Stay strong, stay grounded, and know your worth.
Yes. And never forget you deserve consistent love and respect. Don't settle for anything less.
This has been another great deep dive into dating.
Yeah, it has.
For more dating advice and tips, be sure to subscribe to Love Hackers wherever you get your podcasts.
And don't forget to leave us a rating and review. We love hearing from you.
Yes, and if you have a specific dating question you'd like us to answer, send us a DM on Instagram.
We're here to help you navigate the ups and downs of dating.
Until next time, I'm Alex Carter,
And I'm Sophie Tanaka.
wishing you all the best in your dating adventures. This has been such an interesting conversation. One of the big takeaways for me is that when someone is hot and cold, it says more about them than it does about us.
Yeah, you're right. It's so easy to take it personally and start to wonder if we're good enough.
Exactly.
But a lot of the time, it's their own issues, insecurities or fears or past experiences that are causing them to act that way.
Right. So it's not really about us at all.
It's more about where they're at in their own journey.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to analyze their every move, we should focus on taking care of ourselves and building that inner strength.
Exactly. It's about choosing how we react instead of letting them control our emotions.
Okay.
And that reminds me of something else we haven't talked about yet, the power of self-reflection.
Oh, I love some good introspection. What role does that play in all this?
Well, it's super important because sometimes we might actually be contributing to the dynamic without even realizing it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for example, if you tend to be a people pleaser, or you've always been drawn to people who are emotionally unavailable, You need to look at those patterns and see how they might be affecting things.
So we're taking responsibility for our part in things.
Right. And looking at our own attachment styles and how we tend to behave in relationships.
Okay.
It's not about blaming yourself, but about understanding how your past experiences and tendencies might be playing a role.
Right.
And the good news is that you have the power to change those patterns and start attracting healthier relationships.
I like that.
Oh.
It's about taking control of our dating lives and making choices that align with what we really want.
Exactly.
Right.
And remember, self-reflection is a continuous process.
Okay.
It's not about being perfect. It's about being open to learning and growing from every experience.
Yeah, even the tough ones.
Exactly.
So it's all about embracing the journey and knowing that each relationship teaches us something valuable.
Right. Now, what if you've tried all of this? You've communicated your needs, set boundaries, focused on yourself, but they're still hot and cold.
Okay.
At that point, you need to ask yourself if this is really a relationship you want to keep investing in.
That's a tough question, especially when you have feelings for them.
I know it's not easy, and I don't say this lightly, but sometimes walking away is the healthiest choice you can make.
Yeah.
It shows them that you respect yourself enough to not put up with that kind of treatment.
So you're basically putting yourself first.
Exactly. And sometimes that's what it takes for the other person to wake up and realize what they've lost. They might actually start putting in the effort they weren't willing to before.
Right.
But even if they don't, you can still hold your head high knowing that you didn't compromise your self-worth.
That's so important. You deserve to be with someone who is fully there for you.
Exactly. Someone who is consistent and shows you they care.
Yeah. And walking away doesn't mean you're weak or that you failed.
Right. It actually takes a lot of strength and courage to put your well-being first, even when it's hard.
I love that perspective. It's about seeing walking away as an act of self-love.
Exactly. You're taking back your power and creating space for something better to come into your life.
That's beautiful, Sophie.
Yeah.
This has been such an insightful and empowering conversation. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure, Alex.
And to all our listeners out there, remember, you are worthy of love and respect. Don't settle for anything less than a relationship that makes you feel valued and cherished.
Yes. And if you're going through the ups and downs of dating, just know that you're not alone.
We're here to support you every step of the way.
That's right. And we have lots of resources and advice on our podcast to help you navigate the world of dating with confidence.
So if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you subscribe to Love Hackers wherever you get your podcasts.
And leave us a rating and review. It really helps others find the show, and we love hearing from you.
That's right. And if you have a specific dating question you'd like us to tackle, send us a DM on Instagram. We might even feature it on a future episode.
Yeah, we're here to help you find love and build happy, healthy relationships.
Until next time, I'm Alex Carter,
And I'm Sophie Tanaka.
wishing you all the best in your dating adventures.